All right. Good evening, Facebook family. It is Monday night, April the 5th, 2021 at 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, where Elder Jeffrey LaValley is. And listen, man, he is here with us tonight. We are excited about him being here tonight. Man, we've been waiting for this for a couple of months now. He is here with us. And listen, we are excited. And so,
Thank
listen,
you.
man, I tell you what, we've been chatting a little bit, and the Elder LaValley has been sharing some of his stories with us, and we're going to learn some more about him tonight. Listen, y'all, go ahead and write some notes in the comment section so I know you're there with us. But listen, y'all, we're going to have a quick word of prayer, man. We've got a long agenda tonight. And so we're going to have a quick word of prayer. Elder LaValley, do you mind giving us a quick word of prayer tonight?
And Father, we give you thanks for all things. You've done so much for us until if we even started, we'd never be able to tell it all. So we tell you thank you. And we bless you because you've allowed us to see another day. This is your day. It's the day that you've made, and we'll rejoice and be glad in it. Give us clarity. Let us speak freely and openly, and all glory and praise goes to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Again, y'all, we have tonight with us Elder Jeffrey LaValley, all the way from Flint, Michigan. Listen, I woke him up tonight. It's 9 o'clock here in Texas. 10 o'clock where he is. And so we're not going to try to keep him on too long, but we're going to try to get as much out of him as we possibly can. Hey, listen, Diane Murray, I see you there. Thank you for joining us. Brother Albert Joe Reed, all the way from Killeen, Texas, with the Killeen chapter of the Gospel Music Workshop of America. I see you there. Miss Catrice Reed, I see you there with Loving Yourself Inside and Out Ministry. Sister Sheila Bryce, mother from the family, I see you there. Phoebe Hutchison, Catherine, I see you there. Listen, y'all, we're excited again to have Elder Jeffrey LaValley with us. We're going to learn about him. He's going to tell us where he's from, where he's been, what he's doing, and what he's going to do. And so,
okay.
Elder LaValley, tell us where you were born.
Well, I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Milwaukee is my home. Okay. Was there from the time I was born until I turned 18. When I was 18 years old, I moved here to Flint. And I've been in Flint pretty much ever since.
Oh, wow. And so you went to Flint when you were 18 years old?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I came here to go to play for a friend of mine's father's funeral. Mm-hmm. And not knowing that my late pastor was related to my friend, and he was at the service. And that night after the service, he asked me if I would come to choir rehearsal the next day and work out with the choir. Mm-hmm. And I did. We did rehearsal for that too. That's Saturday afternoon. And they sang for me that Sunday morning, and that Sunday afternoon we were in the office, and they would ask me if I would move to Flint. And I told them I had to go home and ask my mama.
Wow.
So I did.
Now, did your accent change? Because y'all have a different accent in Wisconsin, you know, and you went all the way across the lake.
It didn't change. It didn't change much. I pretty much kept the same accent, and that's probably because I was studying to go into broadcasting. Okay. So it pretty much stayed the same way.
So tell us about that. You were studying to go into broadcasting?
Yes. I started in business administration, and I realized that the math that was involved was just a little bit too much for me. So I switched midstream to journalism. I'd always wanted to be a news broadcaster, a news anchor. So I switched and started taking journalism courses, and then ended up in music.
Oh, wow. Wow. And so what made you interested in journalism?
I love news. I'm an avid reader. I love to read books, magazines, anything. I've been reading since I was 3 years old. So I've always had a heavy interest in reading, and I just love sharing information and giving information. And I figured being a newscaster would be one way that I could give people what they needed to hear, what they wanted to hear. So that's one of the things I've always wanted to do.
Okay. Well, and so tell us about growing up in Wisconsin. So when did you realize you had the gift? Tell us about that. You mentioned that your mother had bought your sister a piano. Tell us about that.
Right. My dad and my mom bought the piano for my older sister. She was the one that was taking music lessons. And I would have to go with her to music lessons. And there was a preacher named Bishop Milton Perry who came to our church, and he ran revivals every year. And when I was 5, he called us out of the audience and prophesied that I would be a musician and that I would be one that would take music out to the world. And my dad said no son of his would ever be a musician. He wanted me to be a truck driver as he was.
Oh, wow.
But I went every week. I went to lessons with my sister. And my father was killed on August 3rd, 1958. Oh, and wow. I started playing that September.
Oh, wow.
I sat down. My mom said that she heard this song playing over and over and over again. And she thought it was my sister practicing her piano lesson. And she went in to tell my sister to stop and go to something else. And it was me.
Oh, wow.
And I've been playing ever since. Yeah.
Wow. And so you realized that you had the ear for music.
I still didn't realize that until I was about maybe 13 or 14. I just know once I started playing, I liked to play. And that was great for me.
Oh, wow, man, what an incredible story. And so did you grow up, you mentioned Bishop, so you grew up in the Holiness Church, as we would
Church
say.
of God in Christ. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I was Kojic until I moved to Flint. And the funny thing about it is the only reason I joined the Baptist church because I felt guilty taking the money I was being paid from the Baptist church and paying my tithes at the Kojic church. So I switched and I joined the Baptist church. One of the conditions of my moving here from my mom was that I joined a Kojic church when I got here. So I did. But I think I was there maybe a year and a half, and I switched to the Baptist church. I've been Baptist ever since.
Oh, wow. And so so you already knew a lot of the Church of God in Christ songs. And so did you integrate that flavor into the Baptist church once you got there?
Well, now, when I got to New Jerusalem, they were, how would I say this? They were the church of what's happening now in 1972. When I got there, they were speaking in tongues, they were dancing, they were shouting, they had drums, they had bass, they had guitar. I mean, we were the rebels of the city, put it that way. So they already, I felt right at home. And even when my mom came to see if she was going to let me stay there, she didn't go to the Kojic church that Sunday morning. She came to the Baptist church because she wanted to see how they operated. And they asked her to have words that night. And she said, oh, well, he's right at home. I'm going to let him do what he wants to do. He can stay here in Flint.
Oh, wow. So now how far is Flint from Detroit?
60, 70 miles.
Oh, okay.
It's not far. It's not far.
Right there, yeah.
Yes.
So did you go back and forth to Detroit quite a bit?
In my younger days, I did. In my younger days, we used to go down to Detroit every third Sunday for St. James's third Sunday night musical. Because you hadn't heard singing unless you heard St. James Adult Choir on the third Sunday night every month. We would make it down for that.
Okay.
Wonderful. It was something about being at St. James and hearing Reverend Nix on that organ and Sidney Holmes on the piano and J.D. directing. It was just something totally different. So we would go every third Sunday.
Okay. Wow. 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 And so you went to Flint when you were 18. And so
Yes.
so they were pretty much a charismatic church.
Yeah.
And so who were some of the musicians that influenced you as a younger musician?
Um, there were people at home in Milwaukee that were wonderful musicians. My godfather, Frank Johnson, who's now deceased. Uh, Brother Charles Stokes, who's also deceased. Roosevelt Daniels, of course, who's also deceased. There were so many. My external influences were people like when I first heard Edwin Hawkins play on the Oh Happy Day album, that was like something I had never heard before. So it actually changed my styling. And then I heard a guy from here, Elder Donald Smith. He played on one of Matty Moss Clark's and Southwest Michigan's albums. And I had never heard anybody play piano like that. So he was a great influence on my total changing of my style. But those were pretty much the basic. Terry Douglas, I can't forget Terry because that's where I started. Paul Kinlow, who also lives in Detroit now. But those are the people that I pretty much started with, and they kept me
Okay.
going.
Okay. And so you heard so when you were growing up, the style of music was more traditional.
It was, well, because I was Kojic, they would have considered it pretty much traditional as it was jubilistic.
Jubilee.
It was more of a jubilistic style of music. And then Ronnie Kersey, who played for Southwest Michigan, was also, I can't forget Ronnie, was a great inspiration as far as my organ work was concerned. Ronnie and Carol Cole, Janet Cole, who was Carol Cole's mother, they were great influences from the Southwest Michigan albums. I used to listen to those, and I used to try to emulate every note, note for note, or what they did.
Mm-hmm. And so you got a taste of the Kojic, and then you came into the Baptist scene. And so now, tell us about working with Bishop Otis Floyd.
We had a great relationship. He was my pastor, and he was a great pastor. I worked with him for 37 years before he passed.
Oh, wow, wow.
And he passed in 2011. I've been at my church 48 years.
Oh, wow, wow.
Yeah, it'd be 49 years this year that I've been there. And most of it was there with Bishop Floyd. He was a great influence to me, both spiritually and naturally. So he was a great man to work for. If he had something to say, don't worry about it. He was going to say it. He didn't talk about me behind my back. He would come and get me and take me into the office, and we talk about whatever had to be taken care of. But we had a great working relationship.
So with you being there 48 years, you helped, well, I'm going to say it, you may not say it, but I'll say it, you helped build that church.
Oh, you're right. I wouldn't say that, but I kind of helped. I kind of helped with the music department a little bit. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I had a chance to meet Bishop Otis Floyd. He came to First St. John when I was a minister of music there. And
Bishop Spears.
Bishop Spears.
Right.
And one night during the revival, I went down for him to pray over me, or to prophesy over me. And he said, and I'll never forget this, he says, "You have an unusual gift." And I knew he wasn't talking about me as a musician. I knew he was talking about something else, you know. And so, man, I'll never forget that. Great person, great bishop, great Presbyterian, great singer, you know.
Yeah.
He
could do it.
And so, man, we thank God for the life of Bishop Otis Floyd and all that he did in the Michigan area. And with Full Gospel, he was one of the founders, right?
Right. He was second presiding bishop for many years. Yes.
Well, while we right there, just let's talk about full gospel a little bit. You were engaged with full gospel, and how did that happen?
Well, I was actually supposed to be the first assistant minister of music, and somehow I ended up being the uh, minister of music, and Philip Britton and Mark Hubbard ended up being my assistants, and we worked well together. I held that position for 9 years, and I finally decided that enough was enough for me. Somebody else could take it to the next level. So I turned in my resignation. But during that period of time, we recorded 2 CDs, and the first one, as a matter of fact, was Grammy nominated. In 1997, we had Grammy nomination, we had Stellar nominations, and a Soul Train Award nomination. So it was a blessing to work with them. Our first choir was 1,500 strong.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow!
So we had a good time.
1,500. Wow!
Yes.
But you were accustomed to working with big choirs, and because we're gonna go to GMWA in just a minute. Yeah, so you were accustomed, and I know your work with full gospel because y'all would record those albums, and man, the music would just be incredible. Just
a lot of fun, a lot of work, but had a lot of fun, and I had a wonderful crew. I dare not say that I did it by myself. I had a wonderful crew of people to work with, and they didn't mind working, which made it all the more easier for me and everybody else involved. Everybody would do whatever had to be done to make it work.
Wow. And so, listen, I've got something else I want to ask you, but I want to play something right quick before we go into our next segment. All right. And so listen, man, that song, man, when it came out, I played it over and over and over. Wow. That whole album, that was that the album that y'all did Can't Stop Praising His Name?
No, that was the album that brought Keith and PCC back together. Okay. He had stepped out on his solo career, but they got back together to do that project.
Okay.
And the album with Can't Stop Praising His Name was True Victory.
Okay, that's right. Now, did you write that song?
Which one?
No Greater Love.
Yes, I wrote that, and I wrote True Victory.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. True Victory. Yeah. When it goes, yeah, okay. Wow. And so, man, when y'all came out with that music, man, y'all were really moving away from the traditional gospel. You know, Reverend Cleveland was traditional and a little contemporary because he, and his musicians would do some things with some songs. But man, when Keith Pringle and you guys came out, I mean, y'all were like the young adults of Reverend Cleveland. Would you say that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the funny thing is I didn't even know Reverend Cleveland knew who I was.
Okay.
Because I didn't go looking for that type of thing or nothing. I just did what I was supposed to do. Keith got True Victory at a workshop that we worked at together. And the next thing I know, I got a phone call from Milton Bigham saying, man, you got your first title cut with us. Now, what are you talking about? I said, didn't you write True Victory? I said, well, yeah. He said, well, Keith Springer recorded it. Had no idea.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea that he did it, but he did it. And I was grateful.
So were you already on the national scene when all of this transpired?
With my church choir, New Jerusalem, we were pretty popular back in that time too. But I did my first album when I was 14 with the Wisconsin Community Choir.
Okay.
We were on Creed label out of the part of the Nashboro Records, and that was when I was 14 years old. So I've been around a long time.
Oh, wow.
Long time.
Now, do you still have some of your old recordings?
Oh yeah, I have pretty much all of them. I'm a pack rat.
I would really like to hear some of your older songs, because what I'm finding out is it's hard to find good, solid material for church choirs now. You know, some of the stuff is nice to listen to,
right?
But when you try to do it on Sunday morning, you know,
it's a whole nother story.
Story. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we're gonna have to bring you here to do a workshop, man. Speaking of workshops, you know what? The first time I met you in person, and I know you're not even gonna remember this, it was back in the 80s. You came to Dallas
for John Tatum.
It wasn't John Tatum, it was for Greg O'Quinn at Cornerstone.
I don't remember being at Cornerstone.
Or maybe they were just
a part of it.
But you did Like a Ship That's Tossed and Driven.
That was what Reverend Brown's choir. Reverend Armin Brown.
Okay.
And John Tatum. Yeah. That's where I was there.
Yeah. Because man, Doc, when you brought that out, everybody was bumping that.
Well, now that was done by a friend of mine that he lived in Buffalo. He lives in New York now. His name is Ben Clark, Grant Clark. He used to work for Verity Records and Sony Records. But Ben was also, what most people didn't know about him was that he was a spectacular musician and songwriter. And that was one of his tunes that I wanted to do with New Jerusalem.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, man, you came and taught that, and man, everybody was bumping that song. And so I didn't know that you wrote True Victory, man. That's news. Yeah. Wow. And so you didn't play on the True Victory album?
Had no idea the album had even been recorded.
Okay.
None. Until Milton called me and asked me to do to finish the paperwork for it. I had no idea that it had been done. All
right. And so you did quite a bit of work with Milton Bigham back in the day?
Milton Bigham kept me working.
Okay.
The majority of people would not know who I was had it not been for Milton Bigham. And we met the night of Myrna Summers' I Found Jesus and I'm Glad session. That's when I met Milton. He had just got hired in at Seaboard.
Okay. So did you play on the Myrna Summers project?
Yes, I'm on the organ on I Found Jesus and I'm Glad on that whole project. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. So man, that's incredible. And so you were already on the national scene. And I was trying to pull up your resume. You have a lengthy resume. So who were some of the artists you worked with?
Myrna Summers, Sarah Jordan Powell, Bernard Johnson, Wisconsin Community Choir, Charles Fold Singers, Wilmington Chester Mass Choir, Full Gospel, of course my own church choir, New Jerusalem, Dello Thetford and the Gospel Symphonic Choir, and the list goes on and on and on. Yeah, I used to play for Vernard.
Okay. Vernard is a homeboy from here. Yeah.
Right. I used to play for him on the road.
Okay. I did about 3 stints with Vernard. It was just too much, man. It was too much.
I did it for a few years, 2 or 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And I did one album with him. I can't remember the name of it, but we did one album together. I did the keys for him.
Okay. Wow. Incredible. And so on the Sarah Jordan Powell album, is that you playing what she does when Jesus comes?
No, I didn't play on any of her projects. I just traveled with her. After Carl Preacher stopped traveling with her, I started traveling with her.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I played for Sarah for several years. As a matter of fact, I played for Sarah before I left Milwaukee and after I moved to the Flint. So I was like 17, 18.
Okay. Oh, wow. And so so you knew Carl Preacher?
Yes.
Brenda Waters?
Yes. Shirley Joyner? Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, man, those are some of our Texas favorites.
Oh yeah. They could pull it. They could pull it, and their music is still viable and valid today. They wrote some wonderful songs, and those songs still have a lot of meaning and can still be used today in any setting, which is a compliment to them. They were all great writers. All of them were great writers.
Mm-hmm. So now let me ask you this. So which convention did you go to first? Did you go to the National Convention of Gospel Choruses first, or did you go to GMWA first?
I actually went to GMWA first. As a matter of fact, I was at the first GMWA in Detroit. My godfather was going to visit, and he was living in Detroit at that time, and I went to visit him in Detroit. And I went that Thursday night, that Wednesday and Thursday night, to King Solomon. I was there for the very first one, never knowing that I'd play an active part in the workshop years later.
Oh, wow. So you were at the first. Oh,
yes,
man.
Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Never knowing that you listen to all those records and you heard about Alfred Bolden on the organ and you heard about Pee Wee Picardo on the piano, but I never thought I would ever meet these people or see these people. Ronnie Kersey, never thought that we would become friends. You know, it was, I mean, you didn't think that way coming from Milwaukee. You know, you were just glad to be in the house, you know, to be able to listen to them and to meet these people was just amazing for me. It was really amazing.
And so, man, when I got to GMWA in '88, man, you were an integral part of GMWA. I mean, I saw how you guys worked at choir. You were the choir master. Tell us about that. How did you get to be the choir master?
Well, the year before I became choir master, I did a session with Reverend Cleveland and the LA Messengers, and the album was entitled Praise 88, but we cut it in 87. And at the end of that session, I had been in LA a month working on the session, and at the end of the session, Rodina Preston and Edna, I can't think of Edna's last name, Edna Tatum, came to me and said, okay, what did you do to him? And I'm like, excuse me? What did you do to Reverend Cleveland? I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're talking about. I said, we have worked with him for years, and we have never seen him allow anybody to do all the work for him, and he just sit back and let them work. What did you do to them? Oh, that's easy. I just gave him what he asked me to do. He hired me to produce the session, and that's what I did. And that was the only conversation that Reverend Cleveland and I had about that session for the whole month I was there. He picked me up from the airport. We got in the car, and he said, LaValley, I hired you to do this session, and that's what I expect you to do. Now, you ready to eat? That was it. There was no more discussion of that session until the day after.
Well, man.
So that's how I got the through Rodina and working that night. That's how I got the job as concert master in St. Louis. That was my first time. St. Louis. I did St. Louis, Chicago, and New Orleans. I did those 3 years, and then I said, well, it's time for me to move on.
Okay, well, and I was at all three of those conventions, and I saw you. Dr. Patrick Bradley is on with us. He says that you're the GOAT. That's right.
Nah, nah. There's a generation of goats coming up that we haven't even that I didn't get a chance to scratch the surface. Looking at a writer like Patrick Bradley, good Lord, and I see, you got people like Phoebe that can sing anything. Wow, it's amazing. It's amazing to see these people in this room.
Well, look, man, I'm a living testimony what I saw you do. So let me backtrack on something. So
Okay.
how did you become a producer? We didn't talk about that.
I have no idea. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been open to working with and for anybody. And Milton, like I said earlier, Milton kept me working. So most of the little tricks that I learned from Milton. He taught me a lot. And it wasn't by, okay, Jeff, this is how you do that. And that's how you do that. A lot of it was by observing how he did and what he did. That's what kept me going. And as a matter of fact, the first session that I actually produced, Milton gave me the opportunity to do that. That was for a group called Charisma out of New York. And we had done the album, was getting ready to be released, and that's when Savoy shut down.
Okay. Wow. Man, you got my head turning. I hope you're not too expensive as a producer.
Let me tell you, and anybody that's on here that knows me can tell you that I have never charged anybody for anything I have ever done. Never.
Okay, well, good.
What I have learned to do is I believe that if I charge or put a price on what God has given me, that I'm cheapening the gift that He's given me, because what He gave me is invaluable. I could never be able to pay Him for what He's given to me. So whatever you give me is fine. I've never put a charge on it. I take whatever I'm given and I move on.
Right. But listen, man, at GMWA, let's sit there for a while.
Okay.
So you were working with what's his name? Donald Vail.
Donald Vail, yes.
Man, you guys, Dr. Bradley and Clark Joseph, Dr. Clark Joseph, he's on with us. We were talking about how you guys would take the music, an artist would come with a song, or a writer would come with a song, and it wasn't just quite there yet. And I watched how you guys would take the song and help the artist. You didn't belittle the artist. No. You would help them. And some of the songs that, people snickered at in the rehearsals, those became the songs.
Yeah. I've always been taught that you can take a cookie and break it up and add other ingredients to it and make a cake out of it. Mm-hmm. And that's what we did for a lot of songs. That's what we had to do for some of them. Some of them didn't need much attention. Some of them needed a lot of attention, but you treated everybody's song as if it was one that you wrote yourself. You wanted everybody's song to be as good as it possibly could be. And the funny thing is, all those years that I worked behind the scenes with that, I never had a song accepted until 3 years ago. Go figure. But you wanted everybody to feel as if their song was the song. Mm-hmm. And that's what Donald and Rodina taught me how to do that. Just feel it, be sensitive to what's going on in the music, and you can build on the songs.
I would see Reverend Cleveland, man. He would just, Reverend Cleveland was not a loud person. He was very unassuming, but he would stand there and study. He'd watch everybody, and I saw him many times take a song and say, hey, why don't you try this with it? And whenever he came up in front of the choir, I don't care what kind of trouble the person presenting was having with the choir. When Reverend came up, it was like, they stood at attention.
Well, they respected him. Reverend Cleveland had a gift that was really second to none. He could take a song and he could take a one-line song and just work it. I mean, until everybody in the house just would fall out under the power. He had that gift. Everybody doesn't have that ability, but Reverend Cleveland had that gift, and he didn't take that gift for granted. He didn't mind using that gift. A lot of people said that he was mean. A lot of people said he had an attitude problem. Not so. Reverend Cleveland just knew what he wanted. He knew what he heard. And when you gave him what he heard, you didn't have a problem.
You know, last week I actually looked at Amazing Grace, the recording on YouTube with he and Aretha Franklin. And man, I just gained a whole nother level of respect for who Reverend James Cleveland was and the legacy that he left.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys, you know, when I see you, and when I think of your work, you know, I think of you as another James Cleveland, if I can say that, you know.
There'll never be another king.
Right.
There'll never be another James. Nobody could ever take his place. Nobody.
Right. But if there's a number two or say a prince to the king, I would say that you're it, you know.
No. I just like doing what I'm doing. God has opened so many doors. As a matter of fact, he's opened every door for me. I have never had to ask anybody, can I play for your session? Or I've never had to ask them, can I write a song for you? God opened every door. And you know, the scripture that is really true, that a man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. It was the gift that God gave me and allowed me to utilize that has opened all these doors for me. God did it. God did it. And I can't take credit for any of it.
But you know what, Elder LaValley, I'm gonna stand on what I said. If there's a number two, I mean, you've been a great person. I mean, you worked with people. I mean, you help people. You've traveled all across this country, all across the world, doing your thing. Your music has gone all across the world. You know what? This is something that a lot of people on here don't know. Now, some of the local people may remember this, but you came here back in the late 80s or early 90s when Kirk Franklin was not a national figure. But he had already done a recording, and you were a part of that. Tell us about that.
Michael McKay and I worked on his first project. Don't know what happened to it or where it is to this day, but Michael, the connection came from my pastor, Bishop Floyd. He used to come down and run revivals down there for one of the West brothers. I can't think of which one.
Yeah.
But his brother was a member of the church. Duke Oscar was a member of the church, and they asked me to come in and help Kirk. He wanted to do a session and asked me if I would help him put that first project together. I'm sure, and we did. We did. Mike and I did. We came and we spent, I think it was a week in Dallas helping him put that session together. And the next thing we know, he blown up on another session.
And this is how part of that story even goes. So Kirk had done the recording. I wasn't there, but I got a copy of it from somewhere. I don't know where it is today. And so I was around my apartment listening to that song, and man, the music was very churchy. I mean, just great music.
That was my job.
Yeah.
To do the music.
Incredible job.
As a matter of fact, some of the arrangements that were on his first project was music that I had arranged for that project. And I still love him dearly. He's still my friend, always will be my friend.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
I called him after hearing that project, and I said, "Man, Kurt, this is incredible." And he was like, "You think so?" I was like, "Yeah, man, this is incredible." And so shortly after that, or it was either during the time we had started on the first DFW album.
Mm-hmm.
And from that DFW album, Kurt came in and just kind of took the show, if I can say that, because he was fiery, he had the gift and everything.
Yes.
And part of it was, he had already been kind of doing that already. And again, Milton Bigham, gave him the platform with DFW. But that project y'all did, man, I wish I could get a hold of it. If anybody out there, anybody from Greatest Strangers Rest, have that project, man, I would like to get a copy of that project because it has some really good church songs on there.
Really good church music. Yeah, but he wrote good church music. So all we had to do was dress it up.
And so listen, we're gonna move along, but listen, I want to play something right quick. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about that song, and then I want to go back to Revelation 19:1.
Okay.
And so that song, "Oh Give Thanks," that's one of the popular gospel anthems that people are using across the country right now. Tell us about "Oh Give Thanks."
I had choir rehearsal coming up, and I didn't have anything to teach. And I told the Lord, I need something new. I need something fresh. I need something before I get in here today. And we rehearse on Saturdays. So I got to church a little early, and it just started flowing. And as it flowed, I wrote it down, and I taught it to the choir that Saturday, and we sang it the next day.
Wow.
That's how most of my good stuff operates. It's nothing that's been planned or even No Greater Love. I wrote that in the car on the way to choir rehearsal, because I just didn't have anything. But the Lord has always made a way in that type of way for me.
Oh, well, man, that's one of our church's favorites. "Oh, give thanks to the Lord." I mean, it's a good Sunday morning song. If you need a opening anthem for your concert, it's a good opening anthem. Have you recorded that yet?
No, we were supposed to record May the 9th of last year. And of course, the pandemic stopped that, but that was going to be one of the songs that was going to be on the project. So I am looking forward to doing it as soon as we're released from the pandemic. We are going to record again, and that's going to be one of the songs.
Man, keep us updated on the recording. I would love to come to one of your live recordings, just as long as it's not in the winter.
It's not going to be in the winter. Oh no! And there was a day that wouldn't bother me. I'm a little older now. That's not going to do. Not going to no snow on the ground.
Wow. Yeah, man. And so tell us about the international song, one of the most well-known songs, just like Total Praise and Oh Happy Day, Revelation 19:1. Tell us about that.
Well, we were in communion service, and the spirit was high. And my pastor walked over to the organ. Bishop Floyd walked over to the organ with his Bible open, and he flung his Bible down on the organ and said, "Sing this." And I said, "Excuse me." And he said, "Sing this." And he turned around and walked away and left me there with the Bible open to Revelations, the 19th chapter and the first verse. And I sang the first melody that came to my mind. And we sang it for about 45 minutes, just the front, just the first part. The hallelujah, salvation and glory, honor and power unto the Lord our God. We sang that for about 45 minutes. And I'm saying, well, this is something that's not going to last because I'm not going to remember it. I don't have a tape recorder handy, so I can't tape. And it just so happened that night, the media ministry had recorded that service. They normally didn't record the communion service, but they recorded that night. So I had the basics there, and we were in the preparation for the His Eyes on the Sparrow LP, and I needed a 7-minute filler cut to finish the last 7 minutes of a side. And I added the little Just Can't choruses and all of that. And then I asked my pastor, well, would you mind doing the narration? I'm still a little short. I need a little bit more time. He said, sure. And we ended up with the 7-minute cut. And nobody could tell me that 36 years later, people will still be singing that song. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I have been humbled and honored by that and shocked by that because I never looked at it to be a hit. I don't write songs to be a hit. I write songs that I hope touch the hearts of the people. And to have a song like that, do that, it's humbling. It's very humbling.
Listen, we just did Revelation 19:1 back in December. During the pandemic, our church, we never stopped having church. And
we did.
That song, when I pulled it out, man, it took church to a whole nother level. I mean, it's a very powerful. I mean, the book of Revelation, I mean, of course, that's the word of God, but what you putting that melody with that, and people, if you go on YouTube, you'll hear people all over the world singing it. Tell us about, because it is a worldwide song, tell us about you doing it with the Pope.
Well, that was another song that I wrote for the Pope. It wasn't that one.
Okay.
What was the name of that? The name of that song was "God Is Love," and that's when he was at the it was a Silver Dome, which is not torn down. So that's how long ago that was. But it was done at the Vatican it was one of his entrances that they used it for. My high school teacher, as a matter of fact, was the one that took it to the Vatican and performed it. Yeah. So it's been an experience.
Wow. And so tell us about what was the World Choir celebration?
That was in Atlanta, Georgia, at the old Georgia Dome. Choir that Milton and some area people had put together. It was about 5,000 people strong. James Perry and I acted as the musicians for that choir. Though they had musicians, of course, in an area that could handle it, Milton wanted James and I on the scene, and Peebo Bryson was the featured vocalist for that.
And y'all had 5,000 voices?
Yes, sir.
Now, did they do Revelation 19:1 at that session?
No. That was before its day. It was written and recorded by them, but that wasn't one of the songs that they performed.
So what year did you write Revelation 19:1?
1984.
Okay. And you never presented that at the Gospel Music Workshop?
No.
At the Dorothy Convention?
No. After a while, I had presented to GMWA so many times, until I just felt like my stuff wasn't good enough. So I just quit turning stuff and sending stuff in.
Okay.
I just stopped. Yeah. And then and the year I stopped was the year I became concertmaster.
Listen, I just thought of something. Do you remember talking to a guy named Michael Stevenson from Fort Worth?
No. That doesn't ring a bell.
When y'all recorded Show Me the Way.
Okay.
And I know you had to have talked to him because he had to have gotten permission to record it.
No. Well, see, I didn't write it anyway.
Oh,
John wrote that. John Key wrote that. John Key wrote that for us. He wrote three songs for us for that album. Yeah.
Okay.
We've been friends for a long time.
Okay, because I remember we recorded Show Me the Way.
Well, he had to ask John for permission for that one because that wasn't me.
Okay. But you all had already recorded it.
Yeah.
Because that had to have been where we got the concept from, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and so you've been writing, and so you've been honored several times. Tell us about you being honored by the Hampton University Ministers Conference and choral directors and musicians.
I received the Roland Carter Living Legend Award. I was very, very stunned because then I had no idea they even knew who I was because I had never been to Hampton. I was very, very surprised, very honored. And my thing is, out of all the people they could have chosen to choose me, I was really honored. As a matter of fact, the next year after they chose me, Edwin Hawkins was the Roland Carter Living Legend Award recipient. That was a great honor for me. Great honor. As a matter of fact, that's what started the ball rolling on all of this. When Professor Dickinson called me and told me what they were going to do and what he wanted to do, I was like, wow. And after that, things just started happening. And they've been happening ever since and continually, you know, and I'm like, I don't, you know, like the Bible says, this is the Lord's doing, but it's marvelous in my eyes. It really is. I am enjoying every minute of it, and I'm going to appreciate all of it. I'm 67 years old, and this doesn't happen to people my age in gospel music. So I'm very, very honored that these things are happening. I'm very humbled that these things are happening because they could happen to anybody else. All I want to do is what I do, and that's write and play. That's all I want to do.
Well, man, you represented the kingdom well. You know, I think one of my assignments in ministry is to help connect the old and the new. You know, I remember Pastor Gene Moore out of Houston one year preached a revival for us. He talked about when Jesus rode into Jerusalem, he rode part of the way on an old donkey, and then he got on a young donkey to symbolize the new. You know, a lot of the younger musicians, they don't know the contributions that you've made to gospel music. I mean, you were, again, very instrumental in helping transition gospel music, because y'all did take some of the traditional songs and put a little seasoning on them and flavored them up, you know. And what they're calling contemporary music now is what you guys helped transition back in the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s, you know.
Yeah. Well, I've had the opportunity to live through all of the transitions of gospel music, from the Dorsey era to the Cleveland era to the Hawkins era, the Andre Crouch era. I mean, I've had the opportunity to live through them all and to be a part of them all. So it's been great. I mean, it's been great to see the growth that gospel music has taken, and not to say that everything has been good, but to see gospel music expand as it has been an awesome experience.
And so did you do very much work with Edwin Hawkins?
I met Edwin Hawkins in 1974. I got a chance to work with him a few times, but I worked for Tremaine for 3.5 years. I was a musical director. And I turned down a job with Walter because I didn't want to move to California. He offered me a position at Love Center, and I turned that job down. I didn't want to move to California. I didn't think I could afford living in California at that time, so I didn't take the job.
Oh wow!
I have no regrets.
Right, no right. Regrets. And so even now you're vibrant, doing stuff. Yeah. You know, you've done a lot of things behind the scene. You know, people see the person on the stage, not knowing that many times it's the person behind the scenes that was really the mover and the shaker. And so you've been writing even for some or they've used some of your music with Kanye West Sunday services. Tell us about that.
That's been fun. It's been fun because I didn't expect that. They did a sample of Revelation 19 and his song Selah. They did a sample of it on the album Jesus is King. And then on the Jesus is Born album, they did the entire song, Revelation 19:1. And I had no idea that they were going to do it. All I got was, I didn't even get the mechanical license for them to do it, but they did do the mechanical license. They did all the paperwork that needed to be done and everything. And it has really been, this has been a roller coaster ride. I've been joyous about it. People have talked about me about it, but I didn't have anything to do with it. You know, they chose what they wanted to record. I didn't choose their material. It's been a blessing to me in more ways than one for the album to win a Grammy Award. It now makes me part of a Grammy-winning team. Didn't get that in gospel music. I didn't get that type of support from gospel artists, and it's been an experience. Nobody could tell me that this is going to happen to me, you know, at this age. So I'm loving every minute of it. To know that my music has blessed someone enough to re-record it, and it's been re-recorded by others. My favorite version of it is Brooklyn Tabernacle. I love the Brooklyn Tabernacle version of it, but it's been recorded by several others, and I'm just honored that people feel like my music is worth recording again. You know, it makes me feel good.
Well, hey, listen, I'm going to do a quick shout out to some of the people that are on with us tonight. One of my classmates, Sister Jackie Foster, Sister Terry Swift Gadsden is there with us. One of our members, Brother Doug Easley. If you ever come to Texas, I'm going to get you some of Doug's barbecue because he can barbecue. Dr. Gwen Morrison, one of our great educational leaders here with our Tarrant County College system. And years ago, she worked in Fort Worth ISD. Brother Christopher Anderson is with us. I saw Dr. Patrick Bradley. Phoebe Hutchins is on with us. Sister Andrea Sanders is on with us. So many sharing, Brother John Bennett, Sister Diane Murray, First Lady Peter Blake, Mr. Chris Brenham is on, one of our great musicians here. He can even order it up. Brother James Rice, Sister Naomi Hill, one of our members, Sister Luvitrius Johnson, Dr. Elena is on with us, and so many others to hear your story. But listen, you know what? I mentioned barbecue. Now let's veer from music just a little bit. Now, you know what? Now, you ought to be ashamed of yourself because you cook all that good food. I mean, can bake cakes and all of that.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I love to eat.
Okay.
Ergo, I cook. I love to cook. As a matter of fact, most people don't know that I would rather cook than play piano.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And
wow.
I cook just as well as I play. You'll never hear me talking about my playing, but I will brag about my cooking all day long. I love to cook. I really do.
Wow. Well, listen, I know for sure we're going to bring you to Texas.
I love it.
Look, and so before we go to the workshop that night, you'll be cooking all.
That won't bother me at all. I love it. I love to cook.
Oh, wow.
I love to cook. And I can cook.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. I can look and tell that you can burn in that kitchen. And so, man, so you've been blessed to be a part of a Grammy Award winning team. What about the Stella Awards? Did you win a Stella Award with anyone?
Never. I've been nominated with Full Gospel. Our first album was nominated, but we didn't win. But I mean, for me, the fact that I'm nominated is good enough. That means somebody's listening to what we're doing. And that made me feel good.
Now, did you write any of the songs on any of the Wilmington Chester projects?
Yes. I wrote on that first album I did, Just Like That. I wrote Holy, Holy, Holy on one. I wrote Holy Is Your Name. I've written on every one of the albums but one. I just can't remember all the songs. But yeah, I've written on every album but one.
Right. Man, and you know what? That's a choir that I don't know that they really got their due, recognition because, man, they put out some incredible
music. Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
So were you on the It's Mighty Nice album?
Yes, I'm playing piano and he's preparing me.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to go back and listen to that tonight. One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Who were some people that worked with that Wilmington Chester project?
The late Reverend Ernest Davis, Willis Hickerson, Howard Kennedy, Zach Williams. Oh, I'm going to forget somebody. I hate to start calling names. I can't think of the bass player's name, but he's a great guy. Tamba Giles, the bass player's name is going to come to me. Chris Squire, who was the one that kept me working with Wilmington Chester. The late Maxine Stroud. Maxine is the one that I knew Maxine before I knew anybody in Wilmington Chester because I met her when I was working for Tremaine. So that's a lot of good people in that choir. A lot of good people.
So as a musician that was on the road, how did that work for you to like be on the road? Were you like playing somewhere on Saturday nights, and then would you hop a flight to get back to Flint to play for Sunday morning? Or
if I had to be back for that Sunday morning, yes. If I could take a vacation day, I would. But if I had to be back for that Sunday morning, I would fly back in to be home for Sunday morning. And even now, most of the times when I do workshops, I try not to take anything now that's going to take me away from my home church on Sunday mornings because I need to be at home. That's why I've been placed. That's my responsibility. There are a few times that I do, of course, miss that Sunday morning service, but I try my best to make sure that whatever happens on the Saturday night so I can get back home for Sunday service. Because it's easy to get a flight in and out of Detroit. And then just drive from the airport in Detroit to Flint.
Right. And, we've kind of talked about this, but I want you to elaborate on this a little bit. So, the current state of gospel music, you've seen it transition. And so, at the moment, so like Ricky Dillard and them came out with their project recently. I mean, it was refreshing. Oh my God, it was refreshing. They actually had music on there that you could go back and teach your church choir.
Right.
So And that we've been hurting, I know, for several years. I mean, just trying to find good church choir music. What's going on with gospel music right now?
Well, it's easier for a company to promote a solo artist or 3 or 4 people than it is to pay for them to send 50, 60 people across the country to promote their project. So you see the choirs have dwindled somewhat, but there are a lot of good independent choir projects out there that have good Sunday morning music on them. You just have to hunt for them. You have to look for them. You have to seek them out because they're not coming to your door. Like they're not getting, a lot of them aren't getting a lot of radio play. And some of the stuff that you're hearing on the radio, I don't consider that's gospel music. It's okay. It may be inspirational or whatever, but you hear a lot of you hear a lot of you hear a lot of music that doesn't identify the object of your worship. And for me, that's probably the most important thing. If you don't identify the object of your worship, who are you talking about? So I have a problem with that. But there are some good choirs that are out there that you just have to hunt for them, but they're there. There's choir music that's out there that's available. There are writers that are still writing basically for choirs, because some of us have gotten to the point where since we can't find it on the radio anymore or buy it in the stores, we're writing our own stuff and it's working.
I know a lot of times I get on YouTube and just start searching and come across some great stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I really wish, and maybe I'm just living in the past. We could get choir music. I mean, we don't even have like the music stores anymore,
right?
Here that really sell the gospel music. We used to have a place called Sam's Record here. They had a location in Dallas and in Fort Worth. And we'd go over to Sam's and be there for about 4 or 5 hours.
Just looking through the records.
Through the records. Savoy had some sheet music, He'd get some of the Savoy sheet music. Dr. Margaret Rowe, who was scoring way back in the day, her music would be there. But you could, and then we had KHVN radio that went 24/7. And so some of the artists, some of the disc jockeys, Drew Dawson and Cedric Bailey and some of those guys, Katrina Dawson, they would, if y'all put out something, Elder LaValley, they were going to play it, And then when you put it out, we were going to be trying to drive 90 miles an hour to get over to Sam's Records.
Pick it up.
To pick it up, Mm-hmm. But,
now, Dr. DeRoe, they just released a songbook of her music, which is absolutely spectacular. Damian Price did it for his doctorate degree.
Right.
I mean, when you can touch somebody's life enough that they want to do their entire doctoral dissertation on you, you've touched a life.
Oh yeah.
And he got his doctorate degree from it, and then he compiled a songbook in her honor. And the songbook is available. She's one of my favorite writers as well. So there's stuff out there. There's material out there. You just have to look a little harder now than you did 20 years ago.
I actually have that songbook around here somewhere.
I got it too.
It's very, very good compilation of her songs. But that's one of the things that I hope you do is, once the pandemic is over, keep writing, keep putting out some good music. I say this all the time. I've been a church musician now for about 40 years. And, we do the concerts or whatever, and that's fine. But 52 weeks out of the year on a Sunday morning, we have to minister to that Sunday morning group. And it's a different group from the concert group,
Yeah, totally different group.
Mm-hmm. They're going to come that Sunday morning. They want to hear a good sermon and they want to hear some good singing.
Yes.
And they don't want to hear the heavy contemporary. That ain't what
church music.
They want church music. I promise you, if I pull out Revelation 19:1, they're gonna go into worship. You know, I mean, music like that. And so right now you said that y'all have a project in waiting that y'all are waiting to record.
Yeah.
Any more projects you see down the line?
There may be something coming up the pike. I'm really not writing as much as I used to, but I am writing. And then here recently, I did have the opportunity to work on the Detroit chapter of GMWA's project, bringing it back home, which is church music, Sunday morning music. If you're looking for some, every song on that album can be sang on Sunday morning. Did I say album? Every song on that CD, I'm dating myself here, can be sung there. But it's good church music, and that's what a lot of people are looking for, and they're saying they can't find. You just have to look a little harder now than we did.
You know what? I just thought about something. So, did you ever work with Aretha Franklin?
Yes, twice. And the funny thing is that was my lifelong dream. So I wanted to play for Aretha Franklin, and I got that opportunity, and I loved it. I loved it. That was my lifelong dream.
And so you also work with Pastor Charles Nix?
Yes, several times. He was a great inspiration and kept us. As a matter of fact, he's the one that when we left Savoy, he's the one that connected us to Sound of Gospel and helped us secure that contract. So he and my pastor were great friends. They grew up together, so they were great friends.
Ed Smith.
Ed Smith is the one that got me involved. Ed Smith and Donald Vales got me involved with the Gospel Pioneer Reunion Project.
Okay.
They called me. Ed is the one that called me in for that. I was quite surprised. Out of all the musicians they could have gotten, that they chose me. And I those were 3 days that I will go to my grave remembering. It was an awesome experience.
Listen, let me go back. Man, I'm just jumping all around. How did I forget the Heritage Project where you were on with all of the gospel?
That's the Gospel Pioneer Reunion.
Tell us about that.
I wish I could. That was 3 days that will go down in the annals of history. To be in the room with people that had inspired me all of my life and that I watched, that I listened to and that I grew up listening to, and then even getting a chance to accompany some of them, it was amazing. As a matter of fact, the funny thing about it for me was Billy Preston was on the organ, and I was on the piano when it opens up for Highway to Heaven. And it was just 4 years ago that I realized that was Billy Preston on the organ. You know, I mean, I knew it was Billy Preston on the organ, but I didn't realize that I was playing with Billy Preston. And when it hit me, I had to go to bed. It just made me weak. You know, it was an awesome experience. It really was. Mr. Gaither had a great idea. And as a matter of fact, that was the first of his homecoming series. That's what started his homecoming series. We were supposed to rehearse the first day, and we started singing Highway to Heaven in one of his smaller studios. And he came in and said, "Just stop. So we thought something was wrong. And then he said, "No, we're going to start taping tonight. We're going over to the other studio. They're going to set up, and we're going to start. Y'all don't need to rehearse. We're going to start taping tonight." And he said, "We look like bums," but we went on and started singing. You know, we did about 200 songs for 3 days.
Oh, wow. And see, you know what? And that's who you guys are in gospel music. You know, I can't speak for everybody, but I know that in the African American community, Look, if I brought you here right now and brought in some singers right now, y'all could do a recording right now. I mean,
Oh yeah.
because extemporaneous worship.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we were groomed for that. I mean, you were talking
Yes.
about Sunday night service.
Yeah.
So, some of the Sunday night services were the best services ever. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's how I grew up.
yeah, you didn't rehearse it. You just did it.
Just did it. Do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And enjoy it, and realize that there's somebody helping you do what you do, so don't get carried away.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we had them all.
So where did y'all do the heritage recording?
Anderson, Indiana.
Okay, where's that?
Outside, 35 miles outside of Indianapolis.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so y'all did that in a matter of 3 days?
Yeah. We did 3 days of recording.
Was
it was amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. I'm hoping he releases a part 2, because there are things that it was on bootleg for so long. You could get it and you could get all 2 parts of it. But now he took his favorite cuts. But there are other cuts. I mean, until you hear Gloria Griffin saying God specializes. Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, it's just awesome. The stuff that's sitting on the shelf that he didn't use was just as awesome as the stuff that he released.
I was listening to that project about a month ago. I was doing something around the house, and y'all were doing Surely. And I was like, OMG. And I had to share it. I mean, I had to share it. Because, you just don't hear that anymore,
No, you don't hear that music anymore. And that's not saying that it's bad music. That's just saying it's just a generation that feels that they don't have to listen to that music anymore. I listen to our gospel radio station here. Well, it wasn't a gospel radio station, but it's the R&B station that plays gospel on Sundays here Sunday morning. And I listen to it. And I'm like, dude, do you know what you're doing? And you have no idea what you're supposed to be getting me ready to go to church, not ready to go back to bed. It just had nothing to offer for me, so I just turned it off.
Right. And Elder LaValley, I think there's some people on with us that I know are lovers of gospel music, and we have to keep it alive. We have to keep it vibrant. Some people dabble in choral music and all of that, but choral music is not gospel music. Gospel music has a certain flavor. That project that you all did, it was the true gospel music. It was the true.
It was.
It was the true gospel, and we need to keep that alive, because there is another generation that's coming, and they won't know.
They'll have no idea. It's just like with the hymns. If we don't keep them going, they're going to die.
They're going to die.
Most of the young folk have no interest in hymns. What do they mean to them? They don't mean anything to them. But for me, they were instruction. For me, they taught you how to live. They taught you what to do. They gave you beautiful harmonies, and they taught you how to write a good song. But the young folk don't see that. They don't see the need for hymns. That kind of hurts. And if we don't keep them going, they're going to die.
I hope you keep doing the hymns that you do on Facebook. I pray that you would do that. Keep doing the hymns. Keep exposing us to the different hymns. We do. About 12 years ago, I started here in Fort Worth doing a hymn festival. Every year we do a hymn festival. This year last year we did it virtual. We did it virtual. Because we do want to keep the hymns alive.
Most definitely.
Keep them lively. And you know what? One of the things also in the Church of God in Christ, you guys have some great hymns, great hymns that you really only hear a lot of times when they show the clips at the conventions, and I know I was listening this past Saturday to something at Bishop Patterson's church in Michigan, and they was doing some of the old Church of God in Christ hymns. So hopefully you can help revive even some of those hymns.
Yeah, it's some awesome music out there, and my last project was a CD of hymns because I just wanted to keep them alive, and I'm planning on doing part 2 within the next year or so of just instrumental hymns. You know, if you want to sing along with them, it gives you a chance to do what you want to do with them. But I plan to do another album of hymns.
Okay. Yeah. Well, listen, man, it is getting late in the evening. It's 10:20 here, and so it's almost midnight there. But listen, man, I really appreciate you taking out of your time to come. Again, you are one of the greatest of all times. You're up there with the greats, because when we talk about gospel music, you cannot talk about it without mentioning Elder Jeffrey LaValley. I hope you continue to do what you do. Keep gospel music alive. Keep it to transition. Keep inspiring young people. There's several of our members are on from the Dallas chapter of the Gospel Music Workshop. Our assistant chapter rep, Pastor Jerry Lott, is on with us. I'm sure there's some others that are on with us. Dr. Patrick Bradley, our minister of music, Dr. Clark Joseph, our assistant minister of music, Brother Charles Webb. So many of our great musicians are on with us. We appreciate you sharing with us your story tonight. The award-winning Jeffrey LaValley, Grammy Award winning now. Listen, let me put you on the spot. Will you promise you'll come back another time?
Sure.
Okay. We're going to get you back.
A lot to talk about.
Sure. Also, hopefully we'll get you down here to Texas. As we were talking, man, my mind was spinning out of control just thinking about who you are and what you can do. We have a lot of songwriters here. Nobody's done a big project in a long time. Who knows what the Lord can do. Dr. Shanks is on with us. She's with the National Gospel Choirs and Choruses. She's
awesome.
President. I don't know if Sam Britt is on our chapter rep with the Dallas chapter, but who knows what can happen when you put some incredible people together.
Yeah,
listen, I want you to give us a closing thought, and we're going to end our session tonight.
That's easy. One word. Breathe.
Breathe.
Breathe. Just breathe.
That's right.
There's a lot going on. Breathe. Relax. Breathe. Everything's going to be fine because we know who's in control. So breathe.
All right. Well, listen, man, thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for the many contributions you made to church music. Listen, y'all, I want y'all to join us next week on Pajama Praise at 9 o'clock. Our special guest is supposed to be a local person, one of my longtime friends, one of my mentors, Brother Jerry Perry. I've not heard back from him, but he's supposed to be with us next week at 9 o'clock for Pajama Praise. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for taking out of your time to share. I know the Final Four championship was on tonight, but we had a lot of people on with us tonight, Elder LaValley.
Yeah.
Again, thank y'all for joining us. Again, thank you, Elder LaValley, for being with us. Y'all be safe, stay safe out there. Listen, also, while I'm thinking about it, make sure you go ahead and get your shot too. You know, if you're going to be out and amongst people, go ahead and get your COVID shot. I had my second shot last Wednesday. Last Wednesday, I had my second COVID shot. It made my arm a little sore, but listen, I'm all right. And so y'all go ahead and get your COVID shot, okay?
Yes,
Listen,
indeed.
y'all be safe, and y'all have a good evening.